All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are here. It's finally that time. It's Friday night. We got a game on Sunday. We got my boy Bear Down, and we got Smitty in the car, always on adventures. How's everybody doing? Hit the like button. What's up? What's up? What's up, Bear Down? I'm glad that you're here, man. What's up, Mike?
Hey, listen, I'm getting ready for Sunday, mentally preparing myself for the absolute worst. I always do that. I always say prepare for the worst. And then, if you could get something better than the worst, then maybe that'll be a win. But it won't be a win on the field more than likely. If we could take away some moral victories from Sunday, but it is a football Friday. It is a clean slate. Everybody's 0-0. And you know what? Everyone's in the same exact boat tonight. Every NFL fan, except for the Bills and the Rams, that is. Yeah. Everyone else is in the same exact boat tonight. Everybody starts with a clean slate. Everyone's got the opportunity. You'll have some fans of teams that have absolutely no shot that'll tell you that they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, and they have all these hopes and dreams. I'm not one of those people.
You're not one of those guys. You don't have high hopes for the Bears. No. You just want to see them at least be competitive. Smitty,
yes.
How you feeling? How you doing tonight, Smitty?
I would say change your name to Bear Downer, but I think you're only down on your own team. You're one of the most upbeat, positive guys.
Yes.
Just not about Bear stuff.
How could I be upbeat and positive about this team? Ask yourself that question. If you really ask yourself, how could I be upbeat about a team that literally, if you're over the age of 35, you have the same attitude about this team. They haven't won a Super Bowl now, going on 36, 37 years. They've been to the Super Bowl once since that, and they lost to Peyton Manning in a game that I really thought I thought they could have beat that Colts team. I really did, but Rex Grossman was the quarterback. They never have a quarterback. Now I think they finally got one, after all these years. They did all that mess with Cutler. They gave up all the draft picks. They had really good offensive rosters, couldn't get it done then. They never beat the Packers. The Packers are always a thorn in our side, and I got to listen to Aaron Rodgers, and I got to go from Favre to Rodgers, and I have to deal with that nonsense.
I don't blame you.
There's nothing to be positive about with this team. There's
I don't
just
blame
not.
you. I was merely just saying, you are a very upbeat guy.
Yes, about everything, but
very positive. It's only Bear stuff. Okay. Well, I don't blame you. You got a lot of opportunity and upside in this team. I think Fields is pretty good. I think the only problem is he's going to be running for his life, and it's a matter of keeping him healthy. And if you can keep him healthy and build around him, you guys will be pretty good in a year or two from now. But yeah, look, I don't know what's worse, what you're going through or what I go through in Arizona every single year with every sport. Suns and four. We're always so amazing when we drop the ball. Cardinals doing so well, drop the ball. Cardinals in the Super Bowl, lose the Super Bowl. We can't win anything.
The Niners, we have bad luck too. We got to a Super Bowl. We choked it away. We got to a Super Bowl against the Ravens. We were in the cusp of beating them, and we didn't run the ball. And there's been some heartbreak with the Niners too. Kyle Williams, the muff punt. Last year, the missed interception from Jaquaski Tart and the debacle in the NFC Championship game. So I think we all have heartbreak, but I think Bear Down's had the worst because
definitely.
So going into this game, man, we just talked about it. Justin Fields, Trey Lance. I think that's the matchup everybody's excited for. This could become a big rivalry if they both hit their prime and hit their ceiling. Both of these guys were players that we all looked through in the draft process last year, draft season. I thought the Niners were going to go Justin Fields. I didn't know if they were going to go Trey Lance or Justin Fields. It was anybody but Mac Jones. But this is the marquee matchup. What do you think? What are you looking for? Justin Fields year two. Last year, we talked about it before, how they were so bad with Matt Nagy. Now they got a real coach. What are your thoughts about Justin Fields going into the Sunday's game?
Yeah, I want to see a plan of attack, and I think that's what you'll see at least. I think now whether or not they execute it well, that remains to be seen because they have a lot of personnel issues on the offensive line. They don't have any depth on the wide receiver position. They don't have a lot of depth at skill position. They have a very unproven young tight end still in Cole Kmet. They have I think they have a good stable of running backs. I think the running back trio that they could throw out with Montgomery and Herbert and Ebner is a decent running back trio. If the offensive line can produce some kind of run blocking, I think maybe they could be a little bit successful in the run game. But in terms of the pass game, I just want to see some semblance of organization, some semblance of a game plan, a semblance of attack, because last year it was aimless. They didn't work to Justin Fields' strengths. They didn't roll them out enough. They didn't use play action enough. and all the things that he's really good at and effective at, moving outside of the pocket, throwing accurately outside of the pocket, throwing accurately on the run, making defenders have to choose whether they're going to come up and try and get him or sit back and wait and let him use his legs. They didn't really execute anything to an effect where it looked like they had a plan. So I'm looking for them to at least have a plan. And if Getsy puts a plan in this year, which I think he will, the new offensive coordinator they brought over from Green Bay, I think at least you'll see some more organization and some more consistent scoring, because the Bears were a type of team, if you're a gambler, if you follow prop betting, the Bears are one of the only teams in football that consistently, week after week, their touchdown total over-under was 1.5 every single week. And if you follow the game of football, you follow gambling of football, that is like one of the only teams in the league, along with like the Jets, where week in and week out, it was 1.5 total team touchdowns for the Bears. I'd like to see that number go up to like 2.5 this year. Will that happen? I don't know, but I think hopefully you'll see a little bit more consistent scoring from the offense. So I want to see Fields navigate an offense that has a sense of direction and seems like it has a purpose and a solid game plan. And I think getting rid of Nagy by default should help in that area.
I think you're right. I mean, obviously, he looked a little bit better this year in the preseason. You can tell that he worked hard. It's a new offensive scheme, though. So it is. He's still having to learn a whole new system. And you're right. Last year, it just was like he was out there going through the motions, just trying to figure some semblance of offense out. But I like Darnell Mooney. I don't think he's wide receiver 1 type caliber. I know people have debated this. Why Mooney? Who else do they really have that's formidable on the offense? I know you said Cole Kmet. Who's their wide receiver 2 out there?
Yeah, so I saw somebody, a couple of people are asking questions in the comments. Yeah. I for some reason, whatever reason, I can't type responses to these for whatever reason. I don't know why. But anyway, their wide receiver 2 really, as of right now, would probably be Equanimeous St. Brown from the Packers, because Byron Pringle was hurt. Now, I think Pringle is actually going to end up playing. Pringle, a good acquisition, I think, bringing him over from Kansas City. I think an underrated player. Smitty could probably speak more to that in terms of the kind of statistics he put up last season. So you got Byron Pringle. You have the rookie Velus Jones, who he's a rookie only by definition, not by age. By age, he has an AARP card. He's a 26-year-old rookie or a 25-year-old rookie. He's not going to play. He's not going to play Sunday. He's doubtful. So he ain't going to play Sunday.
He's got arthritis.
So he's got arthritis. He's got dementia. It's unfortunate that he's not going to play, because he's at least a guy that no matter what else you could say about him, his speed has to be respected. That's his thing. He's a return guy, very, very fast when he gets the ball in space. So at least it kind of poses a threat. Now without him, I mean, you got Darnell Mooney, and that's pretty much it. Like, the Bears are starved for skill position help. Cole Kmet, in his 3rd year, yes, he's very young, but he still has a ton to prove. First tight end off the board in the draft 2 years ago, but he hasn't stepped into that role yet and become a guy like you may expect somebody drafted that high to be. But tight end development could take some time. Outside of Mooney, I mean, there really is not much for you guys to be concerned about. I got to be honest in terms of catching the ball. So Fields is going to really he's going to have to burden the load. He's going to have to shoulder the load. He's going to have to make a lot of improvisational plays to keep them in this game, even keep the game close. He's going to have to play out of his shoes to keep this game close. And that's unfortunate, because, when you force a young quarterback to do things like that, yes, they could be successful, but a lot of times there's going to be mistakes made just because he's going to be trying to make too much happen. So they're going to turn. And the 49ers defense, as we know, and you could speak to it, is extremely formidable. You got all pro players. There's Nicky. We
have this guy right here.
This is my guy here. Now, I've been singing this guy's praises since Urban Meyer recruited him successfully to Ohio State. I said he was going to be better than his brother when he got recruited to Ohio State, and his brother was an Ohio State legend, Joey Bosa. I said Nick had better hand skills. I thought Nick had better get off. I said Nick is going to be the superstar, even though Joey at the time was unbelievable. But Nick Bosa is an absolute stud. There's no question that he's going to be in the Bears backfield often on Sunday. The Bears are going to have to focus a lot on him, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're going to do a lot of jumbo sets, a lot of extra tight end sets, try and help Fields as much as they can with Bosa, because, I mean, the Bears are starting a rookie left tackle on Sunday.
That's what I was going to say. They got a rookie left tackle. This is Nick Bosa entering basically the prime of his career. You know, he's got a contract season basically in the best shape of his career, like you saw in that picture. This guy's coming in with a massive season loading for him. And not only that, their defensive line could be the best in the NFL, right? They got, you know, the rookie Drake Jackson, who probably is a sleeper pick at this point at number 61. You got Samson Ebicam, Arik Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, if he could be healthy. I mean, this guy could be a menace in that middle. And then you got, you know, other people like Charles Omenihu. So there's so much depth on this line. You're right. Fields is going to have a long day.
I think the plan of attack, if you're the Bears, and if I was Matt Eberflus, and people aren't going to like it, I would run the ball probably. I would give Montgomery at least 25 carries on Sunday. Montgomery's got to touch the ball and get at least 25 carries on Sunday. If you drop Fields back in the pocket and that's your game plan, that's going to fail miserably. But I honestly think maybe I think they'll kind of realize that. I think you're going to get a heavy dose of the run. Whether or not it's going to be successful, I think the Bears are just going to say, it is what it is. This is what we're going to do. And then they'll try, and if they could pop a couple runs, they'll mix in the play action, and they'll mix in the RPO a little bit, and they'll mix in, you know, a little naked bootleg. They'll mix in some slip screens, things like that, to try and slow down the Niner pass rush. I think you'll see a lot of screens, maybe a tight end screen, running back slip screen, bubble screen to wide receiver. I think that could be helpful to try and slow down all those guys that you just mentioned. But again, you got Braxton Jones, a 5th round rookie left tackle. Now listen, guy sounds like he's having an amazing camp. He's overperformed. I think, you know, he was one of those guys where he was drafted in a position where a lot of people said he could have went higher, and there was a lot of upside. But the bottom line is this: he's still a rookie left tackle, and Nick Bosa is still Nick Bosa. So it's not going to matter, because Nick Bosa could beat anybody. You know, maybe not. The only guy who could probably hold his own against him is the guy that the Niners have. So. And Big Trent. So that's, you know, it's a difficult position that they're going to be in. That offensive line is going to be tested. That's for sure.
It's going to be battle tested. But on the flip side, so is the Niners, because we have a very young and unproven offensive line. We lost Laken Tomlinson. You know, we replaced him with Aaron Banks, who we drafted last year, 2nd round, a lot of pressure. Spencer Burford, who, just like your rookie lineman, he's been kind of stepping up in the preseason and in the training camp. So they said, okay, we're going to elevate him. They gave him all the first team reps. So Burford's going to be that right guard. We got Mike McGlinchey coming into the season, who had a quad tear. You know, we don't know how effective he can be. We got a new center, Alex Mack, retired. So O-line is going to be a little fishy for us too. I think the run game is going to be the key for the Niners. It always is. I think the Niners are going to try to run the ball 30, 35 times. And based on this question too, or this comment, you know, sad Niner fans, is the forecast still calling for rain? I think it is. And if it is, you have to run the ball and let the defense do the thing. 2 young quarterbacks. You're going to expect some mistakes. Basically, whoever doesn't make the most mistakes probably comes out on top in a game like this. I think it's going to be a defensive game. It's going to be 2, you know, offensive lines that are unproven and 2 young quarterbacks going at it. I think the run game is going to be key for both of us. And then going on to the Bears, I know you guys have had some issues with Roquan Smith. How's he doing? How's he looking? What's the deal with Roquan Smith out there in Chicago?
Yeah, so, I mean, Roquan Smith decided that it would be a good idea, and it would behoove him to not retain an NFL agent, which is absolutely ludicrous, stupid, short-sighted, ridiculous. I can't come up with enough adjectives to describe how dumb I think it is to try and negotiate by yourself. Lamar is a different type of cat, though, because Lamar came out right away and said that if it wasn't settled by the beginning of the season, he would play. And it was well known what Lamar wanted to do. And Lamar didn't write on a fucking iPhone notepad how he was going to, you know, I love you for drafting me, but this is the end. I need a trade out of here. He never did any nonsense like that to try and leverage himself into a better contract. And quite frankly, Lamar is a league MVP. Roquan Smith hasn't even made a Pro Bowl yet. And yes, he's been a 2nd-team All-Pro guy. Yes, he's a very good linebacker, but he's an off-ball linebacker. He's not an elite pass rusher. He's not a bona fide gold jacket guy, hands down, no questions asked, generational type of player. He's not. He just simply isn't. But you see what happens is over in Chicago, right? We have these guys like Dick Butkus and Brian Urlacher and Mike Singletary and Lance Briggs and Bill George. And we have this long storied tradition of having the best linebackers in the history of the NFL. So when a guy like Roquan Smith gets drafted 8 overall, and he performs well and up to his draft status, which he has for the most part. He's had a couple off the field issues. He's missed some games with mysterious personal issues that still to this day haven't been divulged. You could imagine what those are. I don't know. But when somebody performs up to that level, Bears fans tend to overrate them. And I'm not saying that Roquan Smith is overrated. Again, I think he's a very good linebacker. But to get the money that he wants to reset the entire inside linebacking market and get Darius Leonard money, okay? Frankly, in my opinion, in the stage the Bears are in right now, they're rebuilding this football team. They need to rebuild the trenches. They need to get Justin Fields weapons. They need to build the team the way it's meant to be built in the NFL in 2022. Not paying an off-ball linebacker $100+ million. I'm sorry, but to every Bear fan who hates when I say this, and I'll say it, and I don't care. I would not give Roquan Smith the kind of money that he's asking for. I just wouldn't. And if that means he wants to go elsewhere, goodbye. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, because I don't care. I don't need you. Frankly, I don't need you. I'm sorry. He's not Brian Urlacher. He's not Dick Butkus. He's not Mike Singletary. He's not. And that's not today's game either. So that's it.
No, he's good. Like you said, the off-ball linebacker. You have a young quarterback. Give this man some weapons, because we talked about it. Darnell Mooney is his guy. Other than that, you really don't have anything. You need to put some weapons on the field, because look at Trey Lance. He has a little less excuse to fail with the weapons he has. Deebo Samuel, you got George Kittle, well, maybe not this week, and then Brandon Ayuk and Elijah Mitchell and Trent. Like, they've put together a roster that a quarterback could come in and really develop it.
Come on. The Niners are loaded. The Niners are loaded where they need to be loaded. The Niners have an elite tight end, and maybe listen, I don't think anybody could have anticipated how good George Kittle was going to be, okay? Because if they did, there's no way he slides to where he slides, right? I think maybe people thought he was going to be a good tight end, but if people knew who George Kittle was going to be, George Kittle would have went in the first round, because he's an elite tight end, right? Yeah. So they kind of stepped in a little bit of shit with George Kittle. Okay, fine, fair. They paid Deebo, which they had to do no matter what. The guy, absolute weapon. They got Ayuk. I mean, they have a good run. They have a good running game. The offensive line, like you said, Raj, I mean, I get it. You lost Tomlinson to the Jets. But you still got the best left tackle in football. Yeah. I mean, the Niners they're built just fine. I mean, they have the elite pass rusher on the other side, which is what you need in today's NFL too. You need an elite pass rusher. They have that. Like I said, they have the tight end. They even have a luxury item. Like, to me, Fred Warner is a luxury item. I think Fred Warner's a luxury item. Now, he's a great player. He's, to me, him, Roquan, they're the top classes of inside linebackers. But the Niners can afford to have a luxury item like that because they're complete in those other spots. Yeah. The Bears aren't. The Bears don't have the left tackle yet. They don't have the wideouts yet. They don't have an elite tight end. So, that's why I just laugh at people who are like, oh, pay Roquan whatever he wants. Pay Roquan whatever he wants. Yeah. Why? No.
The fans love these players, and that's what I notice every year. Like, you follow these teams, and they get the hashtags pay whatever player, hashtag pay this guy. And I get it. We love these players. We fall in love with them. But you're right. There's certain teams that should pay their players, but there's certain teams that maybe it makes better sense getting rid of them. Get them out of the fucking team, because guess what? You're going to pay them all this money, and Justin Fields is going to be sitting there getting whacked on a weekly basis. Doesn't have protection. So I agree with you on that. Like, we're not saying he's a bad player. He's a great linebacker, but he could be a great linebacker on a contending team.
And I never understand why fans want to be so drop dead loyal anymore to players in today's day and age, because very rarely ever does a team draft a player now and does he spend his entire lifespan with that team. That is so rare to happen now. Outside of if you get a franchise quarterback that you land in the draft, I mean, everybody comes and goes. Everybody bought a Khalil Mack jersey when Khalil Mack came to Chicago. He's gone already. Now he's in LA. He's gone. This is the business of it. So for people to fall in love with players like Roquan Smith, I get it. The Bears drafted him. They drafted him high in the first round, but he just requested a trade. You're going to fall in love with a guy like that, bro? I could care less. Goodbye. Go somewhere else. I don't care. I care about our young quarterback who I want to turn into the franchise flagship face of the franchise. That's what I care about, because that's how you win games in this league. Bum quarterbacks don't win Super Bowls anymore. It's very rare. It's very rare.
It's very rare. You don't have a Joe Flacco winning the Super Bowl
you don't have Flacco. The days of Brad Johnson, those days are numbered. The consistent guys: Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Like, these are the guys who when, the last couple decades, those guys were consistently winning multiple Super Bowls over and over. It's because they're not trash men. They're not working at Walmart.
They're elite players. Yeah.
They're elite quarterbacks, and that's what you got to have. You have to have that in this league. Could you get lucky one year? Yeah, I guess if you have an all-world defense like the Ravens had in 2000, like Tampa had in 2002, yeah, I'm sure you could get it done. It could happen, but that's a long time. You're talking over 20 years ago now.
Whole different ballgame. You need a quarterback that can go win games. If you don't have an elite quarterback, you're nothing. And Smitty will tell you, elite quarterbacks rule the league. You know how it goes. Josh Allen, Herbert. I know you've been preaching these guys, right? MVPs of the league. Those are your guys. Smitty, what do you think about the quarterback situation going into this game? Justin Fields and your boy Trey Lance. I want to get your thoughts on these two guys, because we talked about them so much in the offseason. And again, this is the marquee matchup. What are your thoughts on Trey Lance, Justin Fields for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, you can't separate situation from player. I know people like to do that a lot, especially after the draft. Like, what if Fields was here? What if Lance was there? But it is what it is. What if Arian Foster wasn't on the Houston Texans? Would he have ever been the same running back? What would Priest Holmes have been? What would Kurt Warner have been if he wasn't given the one singular shot that he had? You know what I mean? So, like, as much as we want to say, well, what is Lance comparative to Fields skill wise? It's the total package. And Lance has the weapons, Fields doesn't right now. And so Lance by far and away is going to have a much easier time on his hands in this game. Fields, like Bear Down described, it's going to be like one of those things where he's running around with, if you picture a chessboard where someone's got 4 pieces and if someone else has 12. It's like that's what it's going to feel like for Fields. And Fields is good enough that he's going to hang around and cause some trouble. But it's like Bear Down said, he's got Mooney, he's got Kmet. It's going to be, how can a guy like that in that situation throw for more than 220 yards? He's not going to have a potential 300-yard game. Whereas Lance, I'm not saying Lance will either, but Lance could, because he's got all these weapons. I think having Kittle out is a big deal. Because that's part of your blocking package there. There's blocking's an issue. The Bears defense is the one part where I'm not saying the Bears defense is going to give the Niners havoc, but if there is a shot at all to win this game, it would be to get to Trey Lance, to cause turnovers. That's the only shot. There's no way that the Bear Down just mapped it out. 1.5 touchdowns. There's no way the Bears are going to keep up with the Niners scoring wise. It has to be on defense. It has to be turnovers.
Yeah.
Hopefully the blocking is good enough and Trey can hold on to the football, and we'll see. I mean, if I'm a gambling man, and if I'm a gambling man, I'm definitely not betting on the Bears, but no. I will say that I'm uncomfortable about the offensive line situation with Kittle out now. It makes me uncomfortable.
I mean, he's questionable though, right? He's not doubtful, but
he's not doubtful. So it's better than I thought, because the whole week, we were sitting there going through the injury reports, and he doesn't practice. And then there was a report from Aaron Wilson yesterday from Pro Football Network, and he said it's a bad injury. It's grade 2. It's not looking good. He's probably not going to play. And then today it was the same thing. It was, oh well, he didn't come to practice. He's probably not going to be out. Then after, the reporter said, Dave Lombardi and Matt Barrows said, hey, we spoke to him in the locker room. He says he's feeling great. There's a video of him. He says, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm progressively getting better. I'm going to try my best. They listed him as questionable, so it does tell me he's gotten better. But I feel, just gut feeling, they're going to sit him out. I don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to risk it. And you're right, Smitty. If Kittle doesn't play, this is a big loss for them, because he's so important to that run game and blocking. They're going to have to step up, and somebody's going to have to come in. Maybe Charlie Warner, tight end. Maybe Kyle Juszczyk takes a bigger role in the blocking like he usually does, but even bigger. And then that just changes our offense, because you don't have Kittle. So that's one less person to worry about. So now Debo, we know he's going to be a focal point, but then they can focus on him a little bit more.
They'll bracket him. They'll
Yeah.
try. They'll try anyway.
They're
They'll
gonna
try.
try.
You know what also
He got
sucks?
Brandon Ayuk. He better step up.
Yeah.
You know what also sucks is like it's kind of like bad luck for Trey too. He's got so many obstacles, like just kind of thrown. I know Bear Down's gonna say obstacles. He's got an amazing offensive line. You got a great like I know how that looks from Bear Down's perspective, but just saying like you have Jimmy G not going away. Now Jimmy G's there. There's got that stupid obstacle right in his way that just not Jimmy G being stupid, but just like the situation's stupid for him. It is. Bottom line. I know you want to look at it from a nice little angle or whatever, but it's not good. It's not great. I don't like it. And then you've got Kittle out again. When he went toe to toe with the Cardinals, he didn't have Kittle then. Like this guy can't catch a break in terms of having everything together. And I know that sounds like such a greedy way to look at it.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like an old lady with a Virginia ham under one arm crying because she's got no bread. That's what it sounds like to me.
It's just like, I don't know. It just I feel like Trey Lance once he had. I know it's gotta look awful for Bear Down's like.
Listen. You have to listen. You have to live and operate in your own environment. Right. Yeah. So the Niners environment, it's not an ideal situation in the Niners bubble, in the Niners environment. From outside the bubble, I would give, I don't even want to say what I would give to have the personnel that the Niners have and mix Justin Fields in there. I would be very grateful to put it lightly. Yeah. Interestingly, to talk about the Bears defense, and I did my weekly show with Alex Brown this week, and obviously we have to pick every game. And the spread in this game is a touchdown. It's a 7-point spread. And I said, I was like, I'm not going to bet the game, but if I did, I would take the Bears, but I would buy a hook. I would bump it to over a touchdown to 7.5, 8, because I think that the Bears are going to lose the game, but I think the Bears will keep it a little closer than people think. I do. I think they'll force Lance to make a mistake or two. I think he could end up throwing 1 or 2 interceptions, because I actually think that the Bears' strength of the entire team is this new secondary that they have. I think Eddie Jackson with this kid Jaquan Brisker, who, make no mistake about it, this kid Jaquan Brisker from number 9 from Penn State, the strong safety they got. This guy's a football player. That's all he is an instinctive football player. He could play, and then they're going to have this kid Kyler Gordon, their number 1 corner that they drafted, play in the slot a little bit, and then they'll have Jalen Johnson. So that's the strongest area. If you're a Niner fan looking at, well, who's left on this Bears defense? You got Robert Quinn, of course. Everybody knows who Robert Quinn is, but this secondary is probably their strongest unit right now on paper. Okay. And we'll see how they perform. Pass rush-wise, I'm very concerned. I don't know how they're going to get pressure on the quarterback, because they're going to focus, because Trent Williams is going to cancel out Robert Quinn. Yeah, I mean, that's done. He's going to cancel out Robert. Maybe Quinn beats him on one play if he's lucky. Yeah. But, they're going to need Travis Gibson, their other defensive end, and Muhammad, the guy they brought over from Indy, to really contribute in order to have any shot. Akeem Hicks is gone. Bilal Nichols is gone. Eddie Goldman is gone. Khalil Mack is gone. All these guys are gone. That's a lot. That's a lot of beef. That's a lot of beef that's gone. So, yeah, Smitty, I hear what you're saying with the defense, but yeah, I'm curious to see if the secondary makes a play here or there. That's what I'm looking for. If that would make me very happy. If the Bears secondary, if one of these rookies came up with a tip ball interception, something like that, that would put a smile on my face and at least say, okay, at least they're going in the right direction.
I think you're right. Their secondary, they got a lot to prove. They're coming in with a chip on their shoulder. And, there was Jalen Johnson. He's a guy that says he wants to be a Pro Bowl corner. He wants to be better in the league. Kind of going for that contract kind of year. I feel like he's a guy that might step up and become one of your better players. Yeah. And with the Niners, we had a great defense, but without Kittle, it's going to be interesting how the Niners come and kind of fix their personnel. Are they going to use, like there's a comment here that says, is Jennings going to be used as a blocker? He's a big body receiver. They got, again, Charlie Warner. They can put Ross Dwelly. They did this last year. They put him back at fullback. So they're going to get creative. Kyle Shanahan, he's going to go deep down in his bag and try to figure out ways. He's probably going to move Debo all over the field. Yeah. You got the rookie, Danny Gray, man. This guy, we are not even talking about Danny Gray.
Yeah, I've seen Smitty's videos about Danny Gray.
And you got Ray McLeod. So even though we don't have Kittle, I know they're going to be able to use these guys and migrate them around the field. Shanahan uses that motion. And again, I feel like if they can run the ball, he just run behind Trent Williams, and that'll
for the
play.
Yes.
RPOs, whatever. But you're right. If Trey makes a mistake, that's what Chicago's wanting to capitalize on.
If I'm the Niners, just like kind of if I'm the Bears, and it's very boring and nobody wants to hear it, but if I'm the 49ers, I would run the ball until the Bears could prove that they could stop the run, because I think they're going to have a lot of trouble stopping the run this year. They're, like I said, all their interior beef is gone. Akeem Hicks, Bilal Nichols, Eddie Goldman, those guys are all gone. They should be running the football until the Bears can prove that they could stop the run, and that could take quite some time. So if I'm the Niners, I would just keep running the ball, and vice versa. And vice versa if I'm the Bears. It may not be successful. It may not be shiny. It may not be special where Fields is running all over. But that's just the approach I think I would take with these two young quarterbacks, not putting them in a position where they got to do insane things, and then see who breaks first. See who the tougher team is. See what team is going to give first. And then once you build a little bit of a lead, then the other team is whoever gets that first touchdown, I feel like whoever could score the first touchdown or go up by double digits first, go up by 10 points maybe, I think that's really going to flip the game around a little bit, because then it's going to force the other team to force the issue and not be able to just try and run the ball, 3 yards in a cloud of dust every play. Yeah. So I think it's very essential to see who scores those first points. And, that could be the tipping point. We'll see.
Yeah. This is a game where you have to seize momentum. There probably isn't going to be a lot of opportunities, and you have to jump on that, especially for the Niners road game. You guys are going to come out, I think, hopefully relatively, storming out, out the gates, because this is a new regime.
They'll play tough. They'll play motivated. They'll play motivated, and they're going to fly around the ball, and they're going to be up for it. It's just a matter of, listen, when push comes to shove, you could play for it, but you need the talent. You need the players on the field. This is not Rudy. This is not, this is the NFL. Once in a great while on a Sunday, a really, really bad team that's clearly a worse team than the other can beat a team. So yes, that could happen in a small sample size, but sustained success, that's not going to happen with this Bears roster as it stands. Yeah. This is a team that Vegas thinks is good for 6 wins and 6 wins only this year.
Bear down. What are you looking for in the draft next year? Like, if you had to pinpoint now, if you had a pretty high draft pick, what is the biggest need for this team that you'd be like, if you were in charge, you're like, we're going after this position or a specific player or whatever? What do you think makes a big difference next year for you?
Jackson Smith and Jigba, or a big time wideout, like a can't miss wideout prospect. That's what they need, that so desperately here. They haven't had a true, listen, Allen Robinson, his first year here, he performed very well. Allen Robinson, everybody knows, played with mediocre quarterbacks all the way, tracing it back to college when he played at Penn State, right? He's played with bad quarterbacks his entire career. Last night, maybe, Smitty, you could weigh in on it. A lot of fantasy owners very disappointed in what happened with Allen Robinson last night. Wasn't targeted. I just think that the Bears need a true wide receiver one, a game-wrecking type of wide receiver, like a Jamar Chase, like a Justin Jefferson, like a DeAndre Hopkins of a couple of years ago, somebody of that caliber, a Cooper Kupp. They need somebody like that who demands attention. Yeah. Then you could see, if Mooney's doing as well as he's doing now, if he ever got somebody like that to play with him, it would only make Mooney that much more effective. As it opens it up so much for the number 2 guy. And the number 2 guy, all of a sudden, that's what happens with these teams who have this elite number 1. All of a sudden, the number 2 is like a T. Higgins, how good he looks because Jamar Chase is just so good, and how good Thielen's looked the last couple of years. Not that Thielen wasn't a good player before, but with Justin Jefferson, this is what it does. It opens up so much more. That's Smitty. That's where I would want to go.
You know what would have been a move I would have made if I was in charge? I would have traded for DK Metcalf. I would have given Fields a big body that can go up and get a 50.
I wouldn't have that.
That's it. That's the kind of wide receiver that would have changed things for you guys. And he was available. Yeah. He was. You could have got him. It was just a matter of what do you want to give up?
But that's the whole thing, is what are you going to give up?
Yeah.
What are you going to give up? The Bears' best player outside of Justin Fields is an off-ball linebacker.
Yeah.
Right, but you could give up a draft pick that you would use to get
Yeah,
that wide receiver next year.
Yeah, that's true.
Play.
I just think that, you know, the first thing that this guy said at his press conference, Smitty, I think he wanted to set the tone. Ryan Poles, I'm talking about. He goes, "We're going to build through the draft." That was literally the first thing. The first thing he said. So I think the Bears were so used to just giving up draft equity. I just didn't see him doing that. And I think you could tell by his first draft because he flipped 6 picks into like 12 because he kept trading down and he just wanted more picks. And, you know, I'm not opposed to that. Not everybody could be Les Snead and just not have any draft picks ever and just get this all-star team and it just works. And you know, God bless, and you win the Super Bowl and everyone goes home happy. Let's see what happens with the Rams this year. I mean, I was not impressed with the Rams last night by any means. I thought they could have lost that game by 35 points, to be honest.
Your question about A-Rob, it's like I came on and talked to you about this, I think, the last time you and I talked about it, and I said, I don't understand the appeal of A-Rob. I don't understand, like, especially in fantasy football, but in just football sense, like, why everyone expected him to just walk in and become what he hasn't been for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And you haven't had just one quarterback that he's worked with. You've had multiple quarterbacks and he hasn't shown up, whereas Mooney's shown up with multiple quarterbacks. And so you got to ask yourself, what's wrong? Why is Mooney able to somehow survive and become relevant when A-Rob can't? You could blame it on a contract. You could blame it on a lot of things. But now he goes into the Rams offense where he's the number 2 option, not the number 1, and people are acting like he's some, you know, T. Higgins version, you know, of it's just not. It's not like I think people are going to overreact, but I think at the same time it's going to reset it to the value that I thought he probably had to begin with, which is going to be inconsistent. Sometimes, you know, pops up and has a good game, but A-Rob has done nothing, in my opinion, in the last 2 years to prove that he's going to just come in and be exactly what Odell was when Odell was healthy in that one stretch of games. So,
yeah,
and on top of that, Stafford, and this is good for the NFC West, and Stafford, not only did Stafford look bad and rusty and rattled, you have to think, I mean, it's just logical that elbow probably is not better off today than it was yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder, okay, and if you're talking about A-Rob and success of the passing game, like that's the bigger concern, not whether A-Rob is showing up or if his talent's still there. It's like you got to worry about that, but you also have to worry about what if Stafford goes down? What if Stafford can't throw the football all year long like this?
Yeah,
you know, if they can't run the ball because Akers can't go even 1 yard on 3 carries.
His O-line was porous last night. I saw Tyler Higbee drop a couple balls. Tyler Higbee, you're a tight end. You're an upper echelon. You're considered an upper echelon tight end, and you're dropping balls that you absolutely should not be dropping. And you know what, though? Cooper Kupp, man. Cooper Kupp is just I just cannot believe what this guy does. I mean, it's just incredible. Every week when I see his over-under yardage and his reception total, I'm just like, I'm not going to take that. There's just no way this guy gets another 10 catches this week for 120. Like, come on. But he does it every single week. He does it every week. It's incredible. You know, and he didn't miss a beat. He just came back in. He was like the Terminator.
Even with a bad quarterback play, he's still doing it.
But you know, the thing is, there's a couple comments, and I agree with there was a comment that he said, Mookie said, Stafford showed up in his Detroit jersey, and then he's just honing in on Kupp the same way that he did on Calvin Johnson. And that is Stafford. He does kind of lock into a guy. When he had Calvin Johnson, and he was tunnel vision, you know.
But who wouldn't be tunnel vision with Calvin, though? I mean, Megatron, I mean, anybody would be tunnel vision with Megatron. But that's the thing about Kupp is, like, Kupp don't look like Megatron.
No,
Kupp doesn't have the metrics like Megatron. So it's just, to me, it amazes me.
It's amazing. He's a great receiver. I mean, what he did last year was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I give Kupp so much respect. Like, he was nobody even knew him when he came into the league, and now he's just one of the top receivers. So I got respect for Kupp, but I think that's right. With Allen Robinson not really having a distinguished role right now, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Kupp. And can he sustain it? Because you're right, he doesn't have the frame of a Calvin Johnson. This guy's body's going to take a toll. So I worry about that. But the Rams, man, and Smitty, we've been talking about this. If Stafford's elbow is fucked up, that team's done. They're in shambles. They are going to be in danger if Stafford goes down. And that's the Niners, because I think they'll run away with the NFC West. if Stafford goes down. So that was a big
What
loss.
about Smitty's birds out there in the desert? What about the desert birds?
You know, it's
Caw,
the
caw,
schedule.
caw,
It's the
caw.
schedule. Bear down. We have the worst schedule in the NFL. And,
Yeah,
and
well.
if you want to challenge that,
I'm not going to challenge. I'm not here
I
to
urge
challenge.
you to. No, I know, but anybody who wants to challenge it, I urge you to look at our last 8 games and tell us how we can win more than 2 games. It's unbelievable.
And we know how the Cardinals are historically in the second half of the
towards the
season.
end.
Right. So it's like I think we're playoff capable, like in a 3rd wild card spot. But I truly believe after what I saw last night, and only logic tells me that if your elbow is really bad in the first game and you go out and you look like Stafford did, logic tells me that he's not going to just get progressively better. It's potentially like how can I keep this thing healthy all year long? I don't know. This feels really, really bad to me. And if Stafford went down, they're done.
Yeah,
You think over under week 4 until Andrew Whitworth is back to the Rams? I think they're going to call this guy. They're going to try and do anything they can. They're going to be showing Sean McVay is going to have his wife show up to Andrew Whitworth's front door with a suitcase full of money, begging this guy to come back because their offensive line. Did you see that one play where like the tackles literally converged on each other? They both fell down. I thought they were both hurt. They were both on the ground for like a good minute after the play ended. I was like, this is like a Laurel and Hardy act, and I know that I'm probably dating myself, but yeah, it's like a Three Stooges act for those of you not familiar with Laurel and Hardy. That's what it looked like. It was bad.
It's bad, and so the Niners winning the division, it's a very doable thing. I mean,
definitely doable. Definitely doable.
And the NFC's like it's so much lighter work than that AFC. Like I don't think Tom Brady's going to have a very disappointing season, sum total. I know everybody wants to say it's Tom Brady. Guess what? At some point, everybody falls off, and he's 45 years old, going through potentially some kind of.
Smitty, I couldn't agree with you more. I have the hottest of hot takes with this Tom Brady. You ready for this, Smitty? You're gonna lose your seat. Raj, just prepare yourself. Buckle in for this. This is my hot take prediction. Now, this is way out of left field. The odds of this happening are very slim to none, but I truly, honestly believe, and I could see happening, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting the season poorly to very poorly, and Tom Brady re-retiring in the middle of the season. I could see him doing that. I really, honestly, hand to God, could see that happening. Will it happen? I don't know, but that's my bold prediction for the year.
We're not that far off, Bear Down. I was talking about how he was flirting with in his mind retiring when he was missing in August, and everyone said I was crazy. Whatever.
You did say that, Smitty. Yeah.
Raj, even you went at me. The quad box went at me a little bit.
I was like,
Tom Brady.
I don't know, but you guys are right. Like the way it's kind of seeming, it does seem like Brady might be on the out front because mentally, I don't think he's going to be able to deal with it. They don't have a good old line. Defense isn't what it was last year. The receivers have some issues like this. I don't think it's a hot take that the Bucs start bad. Like. Look, I don't think it's a hot take that they start bad. I agree with that. And going back to the Rams, you're absolutely right on Whitworth. Like they missed him bad. Von Miller was in their backfield. But the biggest takeaway for me though in that game last night was the Bills are just fucking good, man. You got to give. They're the best team in the NFL.
Now listen, Josh Allen and Smitty, you could say what you want. Josh Allen really needs to reel him in because he's not going to, I don't care how big he is. I don't care how athletic he is. And I like the guy. I've spoken to him. I've interviewed him. Great guy, as humble as they come, down to earth as they come. Awesome guy.
Reckless.
Mm-hmm. Reckless. And I get it. That's how he plays. It's awesome. It's awesome how he plays, but you can't, you look at Cam Newton. Cam Newton was 6'5". He was bigger than Josh Allen. You can't keep taking hits like that. This guy got his legs completely scissored open and was just like no, and he's still running at the end of the game.
He got up and grinned like he was a linebacker, and that was what he was doing.
I get it. He's a football guy. I get it. I appreciate it. I love it. But God, if I'm the GM of the Bills, my God, I'm just holding my breath.
Yeah, they got it.
And as his fantasy owner, I'm holding my breath. Holding my breath.
He also is one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's a big open door for injury. Like look at Lamar. Lamar's missed last year with injury. Lamar gained 18 pounds. Look, my hot take on the Ravens probably is as bad, as bold or as hot of a take as you have on the Tom Brady take. And the fact that Lamar's gaining 18 LBs to go out there and run more. He was on pace for 190 something, I think, rushes last year. He normally runs for about 155. That's an injury waiting to happen. Yeah. But real quick in the Tom Brady front, I think Tom Brady, what you said makes a lot of sense. And I think it's going to be, probably an injury of some sort that makes him step away. But he's 45 years old, and everybody wants to say Tom Brady, not going to bet against him, not going to bet against him. Everybody said that about Emmett. Everybody said that about Marshall Faulk. He's 45 years old. We are literally at the tipping point every single game, that he plays where he falls off and gets hurt and can't handle it. And Tom Brady 2 years ago, or even 1 year ago, would have never missed a day in August. And this man took 10 days or 14 days off to do what? To, no one even knows, to go to Cal's.
His old lady, yeah. Giselle is pissed. There's no question Giselle is pissed at this guy. And listen, no matter what you say, no matter how you try and carry yourself, that's gonna weigh on you as a man to some extent. It just is. And I just think, and I don't even know if it's so much him falling off the cliff. I just think the Bucs are going to underperform. And I just think that Brady doesn't seem as invested as he always does. And I could be totally off base on that. And I could be totally missing the mark here, but I've told my friends, and that's my prediction. I think that it's going to get so bad, or to a point where it's bad enough that they know it's not going to happen this year, and Brady's going to have an understanding that that'll be it. He's just going to walk away again. That's what I think.
I mean, he's got both guards gone. I believe his center's gone. Center guards. Yeah. Godwin's not ready. He's not going to be ready all year. He'll come back and rush it, get hurt again. He's one of the most injury-prone wide receivers in the NFL, and he's not ready. And they're going to shove him out onto the field. You have Julio, who's got paper-thin hamstrings. You have Gage that's missed the entire pretty much camp, and there's no rapport there yet. It's literally Evans, and Evans is one of the most injury-prone wide receivers in the NFL as well. So this is a debacle waiting to happen, and I agree with you. I think so what triggered me to even say that was to say that the Niners have a nicer path than people think to being an NFC champion, because Green Bay's got all kinds of moving parts they didn't have last year. No Devontae Adams is going to sting. And everyone thinks they're going to survive, and they did well when Adams got hurt. It's different when you're playing like that, when defenses haven't schemed against you all offseason to not have the Adams. It's a whole different thing when you're without somebody for like 6, 7, 8 games. You can kind of improvise, but you're going into the season with no legitimate wide receiver room at all. Your Lazard's injured, not going to play. He's your number one. And you got rookies, and your second rookie's better than your first rookie, and Dobbs over Watson. Like, you don't know what you're dealing with. You literally, if they don't give Aaron Jones, who will have a tough time staying healthy if they use him properly, because he'll be getting overfed, and he's an injury-prone running back. If you don't give Aaron Jones 95 receptions, they're not coming close to being the kind of team that can win the conference. They just can't. So it's like, who's left? Cowboys, Eagles. Like, I don't know.
Minnesota could have a good year.
Minnesota looks good this year. They're going to be a team that contends.
Yeah.
Jefferson. And I know a lot of people don't like Kirk Cousins because he's Kirk Cousins. He doesn't win big games. They got a whole new offense. They got a new coach. And
It'll be exciting.
Man, they got the air raid offense. They're going to be a scary good team. I think they're going to be one of the top teams in that division. Again, you're right. With the Packers, there's a lot of question marks without Devontae Adams. We don't know how good these receivers are going to be. It might take them a few weeks to gel. Aaron Rodgers is going to be pissy. He's going to be off the Zan. We don't know how he's going to. You know what I mean? Like, he's fucking.
And somebody put in let you expect the GOAT to walk away midseason, let that stain his legacy. Listen, I don't think Tom Brady gives a fuck about what anybody thinks. I don't think he cares what anybody thinks. I think that's why he walked away. He didn't care that he left New England. He didn't care that he left Belichick. He didn't care that he left that fan base, that those nut jobs in Boston would literally, they'll give you their firstborn kid for another Patriots Super Bowl. I don't think he cares about that. And I don't really know how much it would stain his legacy, to be honest. I just think it would be like, that's it. Like, what more? At what point does this guy? What else does he have to do to solidify his legacy? So if he leaves midseason, his legacy is stained or tainted. The guy won how many Super Bowls? 6, 7? How many did he win?
I don't know if
I lost count.
I don't know if he'll walk away like and retire as much as he gets hurt and just doesn't really have to show up anymore, like in that kind of retire that in that sense.
Have anything to prove? Like if Tom Brady walks away, it's okay. Tom Brady walked away. This was the time, and it was the time was right, and he tried. And I think the media would say, you know what, Tom tried to come back. He thought this was one more last ride, but it just timing didn't work out. And I think everybody would be okay with like I wouldn't be upset if he retired midseason. I don't think it would stain his legacy. You're right. The man won so many Super Bowls. The man's done literally everything.
He's accomplished. There's no quarterback that'll ever come in the league and match the success of Tom Brady. They just won't in terms of winning. It'll never happen. Never.
Yeah.
Never.
And he's also like, I mean, I bet you anything, if he could go back, he wouldn't come back. I think he regrets that he made the commitment. And I think the only reason he's showing up, he regrets it. He regrets every day of it. The reason I know that is because he missed August. You don't miss time in August if you aren't going, I got to go back. I got to go back. This sucks. I don't want to go back. He realized his body isn't there. He realized his mind isn't there. And he realized that even more so the team isn't there. Like even if his body and his mind were in the right place, it would probably be because the team's so good it could help them get there. You know what I mean? When your team is struggling and you know you can't win it, can you imagine going out and having to go through a full motion of a full season when you know your team is not going to do it? Like you have too many injuries. You can't. Tom Brady, I thought for sure he was getting traded. Like I can't believe he ended up like, yeah, I thought he was getting traded. And he thought he was getting traded too because that deal to Miami was done. It was done. I don't know how much you guys know about that deal, but Sean Payton and Tom Brady is as much of a lock of a deal being done could be without it actually being on paper. It was done. Tom Brady was going to Miami, and that whole Flores thing unraveled, and then they had to dial that trade back, and because Sean Payton couldn't have been the coach already so it was a mess, and I think Tom Brady just backed himself into the corner and said, I'm staying here. And I think you'd take it back if he could. I think he'd take it back.
Definitely a hot topic. And I know they're going crazy in the chat. People are, why would he retire midseason? I mean, I see it. He's 45. He's got nothing left to prove. And I don't think it would be him quitting on his team. I think it would just be, maybe he doesn't feel that he's capable of being the guy that he is. It's like, once you get to this certain point and you realize like, okay, I can't do it anymore. You just come to grips with reality. And maybe he won't. Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe because he's fucking Tom Brady, and he's kind of been through this year after year where people doubt him. It's over for Brady, it's over, and he continues to push. So I do get the argument of don't bet against Brady because he's Brady, and he does it every year. But I think eventually, one day, 1 year, it has to come to an end. Maybe
it does. It does, and he has no commitment or ties to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like he did in New England. Gronk isn't there anymore. He's gone. You know, he's not in New England. He doesn't have any Brady doesn't owe anybody anything. He knows that. He knows that better than anybody. He has no obligation to be there. You know, yes, I guess you could make the argument, of course, that listen, well, he said he was going to be the quarterback of the team and now his teammate. That's true, but now a lot of these guys on his offensive line are hurt. They're not going to play. Godwin's not going to play a lot. Smitty ran through the whole roster of issues and injury issues that they're having. So I don't think there's any feeling of obligation for him. I don't think there's any long-term ties there. Like I said, his best buddy's gone. Gronk ain't there anymore.
Yeah, that's a big
It's a big deal. People don't make they don't see like how big of a deal that is. Like, I just don't feel like he has any feeling of I have to do this. I don't
came back though because he's just so addicted to the game.
He's addicted to winning. He's addicted to winning. And if he doesn't see, and if he's going to know better than anybody. He'll know better than anybody after Dallas. On Sunday after Dallas, he will know. And I'm not saying it's going to happen then, but he will have an idea of can this team do it or not very quickly. Very quickly. Within like a month, he'll know if this team's got what it takes.
Hey, if you're the owner or GM of the Bucks, Bear Down or Raj, and you know your team can't win, and you know Tom is wrestling with this, and he says trade me or I'm just gonna walk away. Like what would you do if you were the Bucks? And is that even? Do you guys think that's even a possibility that Tom Brady could end up with another team before the season ends? Like, is that even something that's
crazy?
The Niners, bro.
Stop. No. We've been down that path.
Yes.
Because like, think about it. If
I'm
what
telling you,
Bear
that
Down-
would be the final piece of the puzzle, brother.
if what Bear Down and I are saying is correct, the Bucks don't have the personnel and they're not going to win, and Brady is addicted to winning. It's like, if the Bucks feel like they can get something before Brady walks away from a strategic standpoint, why would you not trade Brady even mid-season to get something? No, hold on. But if your team can't win the Super Bowl, Raj, if what Bear Down's saying happens, I'm not saying it's for sure going to happen that way. But if this team doesn't have what it takes, they can't block, they're going to get Brady hurt anyway. Brady's thinking about just leaving. Like, I'm just saying, if that played out that way, you'll be dumb not to take advantage of value that you could get before Brady walks away next year if you're going to have a nothing burger season.
I love Smitty's mind. The gears are always he's always
got
he's I don't know, man. I don't think it's happened. I think the situations you guys are coming up, it's not far-fetched. I think that's what I'm agreeing, but I don't see it happening. I think he's going to try to push through the season, and the division isn't necessarily the greatest, so I think he can push and win that division.
Yeah, I mean, the division's definitely. I mean, you're playing against Baker Mayfield, and you're playing against Jameis Winston, and you're playing against Marcus Mariota. I mean, the division is definitely
he can win it.
Attainable.
Yeah, he can win it, and not only that, the NFC, like we said earlier, is pretty wide open. So ultimately, I think it's not going to be a season where everybody expects, because I think the media thinks that the Bucks are just going to whirlwind through the NFC. They're going to be
I don't see that.
I don't see it.
I don't see that. I just don't see that this year. I don't know.
I don't know. It's going to be a fun year.
They got it. Tampa. They keep talking about Tampa's defense. I mean, Tampa's got a good defense. I get it.
Okay. I mean, their defense let them down last year.
That's what I'm saying too. And a lot of people in the comments are like, "You're going to doubt Brady, and he's going to flourish. He's going to flourish." Last year, I mean, what an opportunity they had last year. Everybody was pretty much healthy, minus obviously when they lost Smitty. Help me out, the wide receiver. When they lost
Antonio Brown,
when they lost, he tore his ACL.
Who are you talking about? Godwin?
Yes, Godwin. When they lost Godwin, obviously that was a major, major loss for them. But still, the team, the offensive line was fine. The defense was fine. Like, they had every opportunity to beat the Rams. And I mean, they came close. They let up the big play. But if Brady was going to flourish and it was going to happen, and you can't doubt him, then by that accounts, he should win the conference every single year. And it's just that's not realistic, guys. It's just not. It's not realistic.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo though has a better chance of getting traded than Tom Brady. I don't think Tom Brady will get traded. Jimmy Garoppolo has a chance to get traded. I know
it's not crazy. Like, I'm just saying, like, everyone's misunderstanding my question or my hypothetical. And I'm not saying what Bear Down's saying is going to play out the way Bear Down's saying. I'm saying if it did, like, let's think outside the box here. I'm just saying if it did play out to where Tom Brady was at that place where he's like, we can't win. I'm just going to literally just, I don't care anymore. Like, why would you not get something if you're the organization? If you're not going to win, that's all I'm saying. I like, it's not the craziest thing in the world to get traded from a team mid-season. It's not the craziest thing in the world. Tom Brady wanted to leave. He's wanted to leave for some time, and he wanted to go to Miami. So, like, these things aren't that crazy when you really look at all the different variables here. He wanted out. He wanted to go to Miami. He retired because he didn't want to stay there. He wanted to go to Miami, unretire, go to Miami, and it didn't happen, and he just stayed in Tampa. That's all I'm saying. They're like, it's feasible, and I think everybody just acts like just because he's the GOAT, no one's going to trade. It's not about they wouldn't do him. Like, I saw one comment, they wouldn't do him dirty like that. It's not. He would want to go. He would want to go if he was to stay and play out the season, and he thinks that the Bucks aren't a team that can win the Super Bowl. I think Bear Down's right that there's apprehension there. I don't know if he'd actually quit. I think if he got hurt or something, he'd walk away. But I just think he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't. If he wanted to be there, he wouldn't have left in August. And for everybody that says this, and I see it in the comments too,
they don't let it.
No, the best comment is Smitty makes my head hurt. Somebody, they can't handle. They can't handle your thought process, Smitty. I can handle it.
It's funny though, because people say it's Tom Brady. He doesn't need to be there in August. LOL. Yeah, you see that constantly. Let me tell you something. There's more than just Tom Brady on the field. When you're missing 2 guards, a center, your entire wide receiver crew is out, but your number 1 wide receiver. Do you think Tom Brady stepping away is just something that's going to just do you think that everything's just going to be absolutely phenomenal across the board? Do you think they don't need to jive and gel? Like there's so much rapport building that's needed with the wide receivers, Tom Brady, the offensive line. You can't just, it's Tom Brady. He can walk away. It'll be okay. Well, what about the rest of the players? They need Tom Brady to be there during that 10, 15 days that he took off. So Tom Brady wanted to be there. If Tom Brady was all in, he wouldn't have missed time in August. It's August. It's football.
There you go.
It's football. You don't miss August.
Real quick, Smitty. So I got my boy Rohan joining in the chat. He came in a little late. He probably missed the crazy. He's probably like, what the hell are they talking about Tom Brady for? But
yeah, Bear Down got us down a rabbit hole.
I did not.
We spiraled down a rabbit hole. You know, we went from the Niners, and then we were talking about the NFC, and they had some hot takes about Tom Brady maybe retiring midseason. But man, it's been a wild night. But how you doing, my man? How you doing? Tell them about your new gig. You're writing for SB Nation. You're with Wisconsin football now, man. What's up, buddy?
Hey, appreciate you having me on, Raj. Is it Bear City Lockdown? Is that how it is? How do you say the podcast over there?
Bear Down.
Bear Down.
No.
Got it.
Yeah, Bear Down. Yeah. That's
Perfect.
fine. Mike is fine. Whatever you want to call me.
Okay.
Susan,
Mike,
Sally, don't matter.
Bear Down.
Well, pleasure to meet you, and obviously Smitty here. Yeah, I mean it's been a fun time here. About my second week out here in Wisconsin, covering, like you said, Raj, the Badgers over here with the school. With SB Nation. We've actually got a game tomorrow afternoon, so we'll be up in the press box for that. But yeah, I mean, I come in and Smitty drops a bombshell about Tom Brady in midseason retirement.
No, that was Bear Down.
That was mine. That was my hot take. I could be a very vanilla guy, and I could just say, Tom Brady this year. I think that the Buccaneers will win the NFC South, and Tom Brady, of course, will go to the playoffs, and they're going to make a serious run at the NFC title, and they might win the Super Bowl. I think I could do that every single year. I'm just saying I'm going out on a little bit of a limb. He looks unhappy. Smitty went over it. I'm not going to go over it again. Tom Brady's going to quit midseason, and everybody in the chat could just have their way with it. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
Yeah, and I was just going off of his theory and saying, here's how it could play out. So everybody's saying it's my idea now. Everybody in the chat's like, Smitty says Tom Brady's going to retire. Like, everyone's going after me. I was just playing it out for him. I was saying, look, here, it's not – everyone's saying it's crazy. I'm just saying it's not as crazy to think he could get traded midseason too. But is any of it likely to happen? No. Like, no.
That's why it's
a lot of different things would need to happen, but it's not crazy. It's not crazy.
It's I've seen crazy things happen in this league. You never know. But going back to the Niners, what are your biggest takeaways for this game on Sunday, Rohan? Man, I'm excited for this Niner game. Bears, Niners. What's up? How you feeling about this game on Sunday, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. You know, the 49ers obviously playing the Bears week 1. It's a crazy. It's not a crazy, but like, you know, you talk about the matchup, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, obviously the storylines heading into that. That's a pretty big part of the game, obviously. But to me, I think it's just team versus team. The 49ers clearly have an outmatched team. I expect them to win, although I don't think it's going to be as like spread apart as people believe. You look back to last year, the 49ers only beat the Bears 30-22. And yes, the teams are different in terms of outlook. The Bears obviously have a worse defensive line compared to last year, but Justin Fields and his rushing threat, that's the biggest intrigue to me, because have the 49ers been able to solve this issue against not running quarterbacks, but quarterbacks with the ability to threaten with their legs? Justin Fields had 10 rushes for 102 yards last year. I think that's going to be the big storyline in how close this game is. If Fields can continue to punish downfield with his legs, I think that's going to be a big thing for the 49ers. For the Bears. But if the 49ers are able to contain with guys like Samson Ebukam, Jordan Willis, and guys like that, I think it's going to be a different matchup.
Yeah, you're right. It's the battle of the O-line, D-line, and then we talked about this earlier. The Bears O-lines, they got a rookie tackle out there. I mean, I don't think people are counting them to do much, but I think all of us agree that's going to be a closer game than many people think. So, I mean, it's going to be – what do you think about the Niners secondary? Do you think that they'll be able to kind of make Justin Fields force any mistakes? We got a new cornerback, Travarius Ward. What do you got there? And we're missing a safety, Jimmy Ward. That might be a big factor.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Jimmy Ward. I think the cornerback room, now that they're back to full health, is going to be fine. Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley proved what they could do against top tier receiving options in Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk this past offseason in training camp. We both saw it with our own eyes. I think that those two are going to be a fairly locked down corner duo, one of the underrated corner duos. But when you talk about the secondary and the safeties, I think that that's going to be a bigger, not necessarily a concern, but something to watch for, because you have the chess piece in Jimmy Ward now removed from the equation. A guy who could play in the box, play in the slot, and play over the top. I think that Jimmy Ward possesses so much value to this 49ers team, and now they don't have that. So I think that that's going to be something where the 49ers have to address it in general with a variety of options.
Yeah, I agree. Again, this is basically that's going to be a big factor for the Niners not having their starting safety. But again, we talked about it. It's like the Bears don't really have that big receiving threat other than Mooney. So I don't know. It's the run game is really going to be the key, like we said earlier. I think Smitty, you said you got to bounce, huh?
Yeah, I got to bounce. I love how everybody thinks it's my idea now. Bear down. Everybody's attacking me for it as if
Ladies
I came
and gentlemen, never forget that Smitty said that Tom Brady was going to walk away from the season this year by week 5. Make sure that you write that down, you record that, post it on your Instagrams. Just a wild take from Mr. Smitty.
Just an absolute ridiculous stance by me.
No, listen, I'm going to take it. I'm going to own it. And again, it's a hot take. I mean, that's what a hot take is. It's a bold prediction. That's my bold season prediction. And Smitty's just giving you some of the factual evidence to support my hypothesis. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen.
I'm just his attorney. He asked me to present the case for him, and I did it. That's it.
I think Verdon and Smitty should just form their own podcast of hot takes.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. I think they have a phenomenal show.
I have to jump. Appreciate you all.
Thanks, Smitty.
Goodbye, Smitty.
Bye, man. Take care.
Later, Bear Down.
Keep the receipt on Smitty, ladies and gentlemen.
Keep the receipt on Bear Down. Bear Down's the one that said it.
The chat went wild on that.
It really did. People got so upset. That's what I mean. People will, they will live and die by on the Tom Brady hill. And I'm the first one to tell you, I think he's the greatest football player to ever live. Not a question about it. But that doesn't mean that he can't do something crazy this year.
I agree. So, I mean, let's take a quick gander at the NFC. So, we have talked about this Bears-Niners game. I think we pretty much hit all the big topics. So I guess the last thing we could do is let's talk about the NFC. I mean, we did say that we think the Buccaneers are going to kind of struggle out the gates a little bit. Who do you guys think is going to take the NFC? Do you think the Niners win the NFC? Who do you think wins the NFC North? Let's go around the horn and kind of go over the NFC real quick. We'll go with you, Rohan. Who do you think wins the NFC? What are your strong teams out of the NFC? What you thinking?
Now, Rohan, are you contractually obligated to say the Green Bay Packers because you're working out of Wisconsin? Because if so, just give me a heads up on that, because I don't enjoy the cheesehead chatter. I'll talk about anything but the cheeseheads.
Oh, your Bears, that's right. But no, I am not contractually obligated. I have no standing with the Packers. I am actually seeing a Packers game, Packers Patriots, on October 2nd. But I do not really care much about I don't care much about any football team like that anymore. But when you talk about the top teams in the NFC, I mean, you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They do have a tough schedule, like you guys mentioned, to begin, right? They face the Saints in week 2, the Packers in week 3. I believe it's the Cowboys this upcoming week. They face a fairly tough schedule to start, and then not to mention the Chiefs in week 4 as well. So
I'm ready to retire by midseason based on that.
Call me crazy, Raj.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule. I think the 49ers are honestly in the mix. I'm going to put out probably an article on my division predictions. I think the 49ers are going to win the NFC West right now. I don't think it's really a stretch to say that anymore, and it's not at all biased. I just personally think the 49ers right now have a better roster, and with Kyle Shanahan and the coaching staff, obviously Sean McVay is there, but with Kyle Shanahan and the coaching staff, I think the 49ers right now should be in the mix to win the division. I have them penciled in to win the division. They could be. To me, I think it's going to be very interesting, right? Because you normally view the conferences as top-heavy conferences. I think there are several teams that could emerge as contenders in each conference, which might mean that you might not see 13, 14 win teams. You might see a maximum of 12, 11 win teams like last year in the NFC, where it was so close. It was like a game or a half a game off Like it was just there where week 18 obviously boiled down to being a decision maker. So to me, I think it's not necessarily a top heavy conference in either side, but a ton of contenders. So you talk about the NFC. I've said that there are four really like true contenders. You talk about obviously the 49ers, the Buccaneers, the Rams. I think you can throw the Packers probably in there. Those four, I think, will not the top four seeds because obviously two playing in the same conference, but I think those four are there. An underrated contender who I probably will predict to make the playoffs is the Eagles. I think they have a strong roster.
I like the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that they're a risers after making the playoffs last year when people didn't expect them to, and significantly improving their roster on both sides of the football. You talk about a wide receiver one and AJ Brown. You talk about two top corners. Now you have Darius Slay and James Bradbury, while also revamping your secondary overall. I think that that's a good team. Not to mention the addition of Hassan Reddick. So I think there's a lot of good coming out of Philadelphia. But like I said, it's not top heavy. You got 5-6 potential teams that could win a playoff game this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity. Bear down, what do you think about the NFC? What do you got?
I actually think that the Vikings are going to win the NFC North this year. I think Minnesota, the new offensive identity that they're going to have. I think Justin Jefferson to me, I tried to grab him. I had the number 3 overall pick in a 12-team PPR league, and I wanted to get Justin Jefferson at number 3. That's how big of a season I think this guy could put up this year. Monumental type of season. I think the defense is going to recover completely from last year, and I think the defense is going to be very good. I think offensively, they're still going to be able to run the ball with Cook. Kirk Cousins had a very underrated season last year. Then nobody really talked about it much because it's Kirk Cousins and everyone likes to break Kirk Cousins balls. Understandably so. I get it. His recent track record in major games and primetime games, everyone always saw the stats. I was one of the people who always broke his ball. But last year, it can't be disputed. He had a really, really good year. I think the Vikings are going to win the NFC North this year. I think the Packers, just no disrespect to them, and Aaron is still, one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen play the game, but I think Bakhtiari is not right. I think that the offensive line won't be as good. I think his receivers, who is catching the ball for him? Like, they're just a total mess over there. And yes, some of these rookie guys, they may show up and they may be very, very, they could bust out and be good. I could be totally wrong, but I just think it's Minnesota's year. I think it is in the NFC North. NFC South, again, we talked about Tampa. I just think Tampa probably by default. I mean, I don't know. Could Carolina resurge if Baker's going to be decent and if CMC stays healthy? Maybe Carolina could be a team you may want to look out for. Could Jameis Winston clean up the turnovers? If he does, the Saints have a very good defense. They could make some noise. Atlanta ain't doing nothing. We know that.
Yeah.
NFC West. Listen, the 49ers are built to go make a run for the conference title. They are. They're built to win a conference title. They're built to compete for a Super Bowl. They're on the cusp. Couple things. I need to see a couple more Rams games because I want to know, were the Rams that bad, and is the Rams offensive line that bad, or are the Buffalo Bills just that incredible of a football team? Because I think it could be either or, but I'm really leaning towards believing that the Buffalo Bills are just an incredible football team this year. I think they're just loaded everywhere. Defensive line, pass rush, secondary, wide receivers, pass catchers, tight end, offensive line, running back, quarterback is otherworldly. So that's why before I write the Rams off and give the Niners the division title, I just want to see the Rams playing a couple more games to gauge how good Buffalo really was. But I think it's going to be the Niners or the Rams. The Seahawks are not doing anything with Geno Smith. The Cardinals, I do not believe in the mini golfer Kyler Murray. I don't believe in him. He's a clown. Get him out of here. I'm done with Kyler Murray. I've been done. And sorry if Smitty's listening still. I know Smitty's not a huge fan of his either, but then you got the NFC East. I think the NFC East is going to be interesting. I like your buddy said Philly. I could get down with Philly. I think Philly, their defensive line, Hargrave, Cox, and now they bring in this guy who's literally like a mountain with legs from Georgia, the rookie Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis, excuse me. He is absolutely a mountain to move. I don't care if he's not a 3-down guy. and he's only in there to stop the run. You know what? You stop the run in the NFL come playoff time. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's why guys like the nose tackle in Tampa is such an impactful player for them, because that's such a huge thing. That's why oh my God, I can't remember names anymore. I'm getting so old, but Vince Wilfork for the Patriots all those years.
Oh, man.
Vince Wilfork. I mean, a guy, they're so few and far between when you get a true nose that just completely eats up both A gaps and stops the run.
Yeah.
So Philly, I think, is going to be a tough out for the NFC East. And then, so we hit the South, the North, the West, and the East, right? I hit all four of them. Is that right?
I think you nailed it. I agree with what you're saying, man. The NFC, to me, again, is like we said, is just wide open. There's no, my boy Rohan said it before he left us, there's no real, like, top team. I don't think there is. I think there's going to be some good teams. There's going to be some days where those good teams lose. And starting in the NFC West, I agree with you with the Rams. Like, yes, they shut the bed yesterday.
They sure did.
They really did. We talked about Stafford and the elbow earlier. Like, if that's a problem all year, they're done. But their O-line it's bad. But are the Bills that good? Because maybe the Bills are just so good that it doesn't matter who they play. They're going to run roughshod through them. So maybe the Rams are better than we really think. Because last night, after watching that game, everybody in America was like, well, the Rams are not good. Super Bowl hangover. Like, I mean, I said it, but I think the Bills are just that good. So we'll see. The jury's still out to the Rams. They're still the defending Super Bowl champions. We got to pump the brakes on them not making the playoffs. They'll still be a good team. They still got great players. Sean McVay's a good coach, as much as I hate to admit it. I still think the Niners, like you said, they have the team to beat in the NFC West. You know, they just have to stay healthy. We do get injuries. You know, we play physical, and there are questions. O-line, can Kinlaw stay healthy? We love Nick Bosa, but, you know, they're going to chip him out. Who's going to step up on that D-line, although it's pretty
And
elite.
then the other big thing with the Niners, and I didn't say it, I'll say it now, not to interrupt you, Raj, is there will come a time in the season where the 49ers will have to win a game or two solely on the arm of Trey Lance. He will have to sit in the pocket, and he'll have to win and march them down the field and win a game for them from the pocket, because some defense will figure out how to contain him in the pocket, a good defense.
Absolutely right.
And he will have to do it himself from the pocket. That's going to show a lot to how far the Niners, I think, can go in the I think they'll make the postseason, wild card or division winner. The Niners are going to make the postseason.
Yeah, I agree.
But how far they're going to go, I'm going to gauge from what I see from Trey Lance when he's in a situation that he has to win the game for them and from the pocket.
Yeah, and I agree. And I was getting to that. I said the biggest X factor for the Niners is Trey Lance, because there are going to be days where the teams shut down the run. They shut down Debo. They put a spy on Kittle. They limit him, or Kittle has to block, or he might miss a game like he might this weekend. And you got Brandon Ayuk, right? There's only so many players that can step up. Eventually, they're going to force a young quarterback, because these defenses know how to film study and prepare for a quarterback. Make the young quarterback beat you, and if he can't beat a team, we see it all the time with young quarterbacks. Sometimes they get so far, and then a team can game plan and take them out. So Trey Lance. We know how good this defense is, but Trey Lance is going to have to win some games. Can he do it? That's the X factor. And again, we can't count the Rams out just yet. It's one game, although it's fun to see it and see them lose like they did.
I mean, listen, if it was the Packers who lost like that last night, I would be doing the same thing. I would be doing the same exact thing.
100%. That's what we do. We love to hate our rivals, but
that's it.
I'm not going to count on the Cardinals to do anything, because they always fall apart. I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan. I think he's a temper tantrum. He's a baby. And I just don't think he's an elite quarterback, and they paid him a lot of money. He's going to be
a lot of money.
Bank. DeAndre Hopkins is missing 6 games, and I think he's washed up. I don't think Hollywood Brown's a top receiver in this league. I just got a lot of questions on him. They lost Chandler Jones. I don't think the Cardinals stand a chance.
Neither do I.
Seahawks are a bad team, so it's going to be between the Niners and the Rams. NFC East, it's usually a bad division, but they're competitive because they're all equally as bad. It's going to be a battle between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I kind of like the Eagles, man. They made a lot of good moves. I like Jalen Hurts. Defense, like you talked about, is amazing. And A.J. Brown, man, this guy's going to be the X factor.
Next to the Slim Reaper, I mean, they got 2 legitimate wideouts there. 2 very legitimate wideouts.
Just like we talked about earlier with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Yep.
The NFC version. And A.J. Brown, on Sunday, he's going to look like T.O. did when he was on the Eagles. I'm telling you, this man's about to go crazy on Sunday.
I hope so. I got him.
Yeah, I got him on my team.
Yeah, I got him.
Me both, man. I got high hopes on the Eagles. I think they win that division this year. I think they're really going to just blow it away. Cowboys will be good. They're a good regular season team, but they fall apart in the preseason, in the postseason. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Zeke Elliott. He'll fall off. He might quit midseason.
Yeah.
Speaking of people that might quit, and Tony Pollard's better. I think CeeDee Lamb will have a good season, but Dak, I don't know. Not a lot of people say this, but Dak might get hurt. I mean, he played exceptionally last year, but you never know, man. I don't know. I think that something is Dak is good, but he's just not like he doesn't have like that talent to push him over the top to make him a top 5 quarterback. But I mean, he's not bad. I have the Eagles coming out of the division. NFC South wide open. I guess you're right. Like you said, by default, maybe Tampa Bay, but I'm not going to count out Carolina with the, if Baker Mayfield can step in. And like you said, if CMC can be healthy, but I'm not going to count on that. And I do think the Saints are a good team, but without Sean Payton, I don't know if they're going to be able to win games without Sean Payton. I think that was the biggest loss they had.
Absolutely.
That's a big loss on the coaching side. So I think by default, Tampa Bay wins that, maybe with 10 wins. I don't think they're going to be a 13-win team like everybody thinks. I think Tampa Bay somehow wins that division because they're going to beat on those sorry teams like the Falcons and everything, So, and then what's the last division? The NFC North, your guys' division. I think it'll be a competitive. I think you guys will definitely compete better than when you had Nagy. But obviously, I don't know if you'll make the playoffs.
No.
About it.
No, you don't have to sugarcoat it because I'm here.
Yeah,
just don't sugarcoat it. We're not going to make the playoffs. We're not going to compete for the division this year. It's not going to happen. It's not meant to happen.
Competitive young team that has some games that you're like, okay, you can build.
I just want to see a team that goes out there, doesn't get penalized all the time like Nagy's team did, has an identity, will play very tough, play to the end of the whistle, back up their guys, and just play as a complete unit and tackle well. If they do that and Field shows improvement, it's a win. They're going to have the most cap space in the NFL this offseason. They're going to have all their draft equity. Let Poles go to work, and then next year I'll talk about having a little bit of a higher expectation. But this year I have none. None.
Yeah, no.
It couldn't be lower.
As long as you guys show that you're making improvements on a weekly basis, that's all you can hang your hat on. And, build through the draft, like you said. I think that's a great move. And you have a lot of money. So if Fields shows promise, teams will want to come and play for Fields. So I think, and you're, new head coach. So I think there is some promise there. I mean, better than when you had Nagy. And,
definitely.
I think you guys are headed in the right direction. A team that I kind of think might be better than a lot of teams, than a lot of people think, the Lions. I think they're a good young team. I like Dan Campbell. He's building a good culture there. I don't think they'll win a lot of games, but they'll be in a lot of games. They'll be competitive, and they'll take teams down to the wire. But I don't think they'll close it. I don't think they'll close it out. They're going to be fun to watch, I really think. And then I think it's going to be a battle between Green Bay and Minnesota. I'm on your boat. I think Minnesota wins because
there you go.
I don't know who the hell Aaron Rodgers is going to be thrown to, man. I really don't.
And talk about a guy who verbalizes his frustrations. I mean, he did it already this offseason, talking about how the receivers have got to be. Aaron Rodgers is not going to hold back. Aaron Rodgers is another guy, and more so than Brady probably, really, to be honest. You talk about a guy who really doesn't give a fuck. Like he blatantly now he's talking about how he's taking hallucinogenics while he's taking painkillers. He's doing this, he's doing that while playing the game. Like you talk about a guy who just is like, he's basically rubbing it right in the commissioner's face. Like, yeah, I did this, man.
Yeah, man.
And listen, God bless him, more power to him, but he just does not care. So if you think his guys are going to underperform and he's just going to sit back and be Mr. Great Teammate, he's not. His family fucking hates him. He's not going to be Mr. Teammate. That ain't going to happen.
Absolutely right. Talk about a guy that doesn't even have respect from his family. Aaron Rodgers is he's a polarizing character.
Yes.
A great player, but
great player.
He's a weird dude.
Very weird.
But I respect him. He's a fucking great player. I respect him as a football player. I don't know him as a human being, so I can't sit here and judge it, but weird dude. Great guy, but I think the Vikings have the team. They built a good defense.
I agree.
They added Smith from the Packers, Darius Smith.
Yep.
He's pissed off, wanting to get revenge on Rodgers twice a year. And then, they got the weapons, man. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. That team is loaded. Air raid offense. I think the Vikings win that division. They got a great fan base. I think they win. It's going to be probably a 12-win team. I really see it because they're going to beat up on that division.
It's funny talking about the NFC, and you think about the NFC this year, and then you think about like the pretty girl next door who you can't talk about because you're married in the NFC, so you can't really, you're not going to cheat on your wife, obviously. But the AFC is just so much sexier than the NFC this year, man. The quarterbacks, the teams, the Chiefs. The AFC West alone, if you love football, it doesn't get any better than what you'll be able to watch there with Russell now in Denver, with all the weapons there, with Denver's defense, with the Chiefs bouncing. Are they going to do it without Tyreek Hill now, with Patty Mahomes? The Raiders now with Devontae Adams, the Chargers with Justin Herbert. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. I mean, it's just insane. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy, the AFC this year.
AFC, like I'm glad we're both in the NFC because we're playing against a
yes,
right. We might have a chance to make the playoffs if you win 9 games this year, So I'm happy to be in the NFC, but man, the AFC is just ruthless. I'm telling you, man, you're right. The AFC West, holy shit, look at the 4 quarterbacks there. They're all good. The talent in that division is insane. Then you got best coach in the NFL, Belichick. Then you got one of the other best coaches, Mike Tomlin. You got Harbaugh over there with the Ravens. You got Joe Burrow in the big, like every
Joe Burrow. It's insane, and they're gonna. And they're gonna cannibalize themselves. By the time you think about it, by the time they get to the Super Bowl, you're only going to get one of those quarterbacks that's going to be able to get there. One of those teams is going to be able to get there to represent the AFC. And man, the AFC playoffs this year, and I know the playoffs last year were the best. That was the best playoffs I probably ever. So those games last year were. Wild card round, the divisional round was the best. That was the best weekend of football I think I've ever watched professional football.
Me too. It was so epic.
It was epic
of football.
Yeah. But this year, I think the AFC playoffs could just be. I mean, you could get matchups that are just absolutely dream quarterback matchups.
Yes.
It could be. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Even if you are a Bears fan, it could be a lot of fun.
You could potentially have Herbert, Allen, Mahomes, and Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy, dude. Yep. Look at those 4 quarterbacks. That's insane, man. Wow.
Insane.
Unbelievable, man. But anyways, yeah, it was fun times. I'm excited for Sunday, man. We'll have to chop it up next week after Matt, and hopefully you're okay, but
I'll be fine. I will survive. I'm like Glory Gaynor. I will survive. Good luck to the Niners this weekend, Raj. Thanks for having me on. Good luck to the Bears. They're going to need it, all of it. Definitely a fun time. Great time.
Yeah,
love chopping it up, talking football always.
Hey, always, man. I appreciate you for coming on this week. It was fun. I always want to get a different person from another team coming on the stream. So this was the first one of the year. I'm glad to have you break the ice, man.
I set the bar high. I'm going to tell everybody in the box right now, you got to tune in, you got to watch, but I'm telling you right now, you won't get anybody better. Not for another team. You will not.
You're absolutely right, man. This is going to be hard to top. Nobody can top.
I got to set the bar high, Raj. This is what they will have to work up to.
I was so excited that we were playing the Bears because I was like, oh, fuck, Bear Down is going to be my gig. Because I was going through all the people I know. And I was like, why would I ask any other person that I know covers the Bears, man? I'm going to Bear Down. And I was so hyped up when he said yes. Nobody's going to pass you up, man. Fun times. Good luck to the Bears because you're right.
We're going to need it, brother. We're going to need it. You see, the bar, I put this bar in my basement behind me just because I'm a Bears fan. I need to have a bar within 10 feet of my television when I watch football on Sunday because that's how much alcohol I'm going to need to be able to get through the season. So that's why the bar's there. That's the only reason.
They love the man cave. The man cave's dope, bro. You got a good setup, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of work. I got the other TV. It's not on right now, but I got it hanging up in the bar in the corner there. You could see it right in the edge because you got to have the dual monitors flying during football Sunday, bro. But one day you come out to Jersey, drinks are on me, my friend.
Hey, if I come out to Jersey, I'm definitely hitting you up. We're coming.
That's it.
Come and visit you, man. So
that's it, brother.
Have a good rest of your night. Enjoy the weekend. Football is back, baby.
We're back.
All right, man. Take care. Bear down.
Take it easy, brother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. That was a fun night. I know we had a little bit of a hot take, but we like to have fun. My boy, Bear Down and Smitty love to have the hot takes, and it was fun. It makes for good entertainment. Tom Lewis was going crazy, and he loves to have fun on the chat. My man Smitty and Bear Down. But I love you guys. Have a good rest of your night. Go Niners.